if you are tuning in for the very first time, welcome. My name is Lauren Dragon Cook. I am the person who made this group that you're in, if you're watching it live in the Facebook community, or if you're listening to the replay on iTunes or Spotify or anything like that, then come join us over here in this Facebook group because it's a good time. But if you are tuning in live for the very first time, I would love to know where you're tuning in from. So please let me know who's watching, who's tuning in. I want to know all the fun things. Today, we are going to be chit-chatting a little bit about the upcoming engagement season that is upon us. So this is, I wouldn't say mostly for the wedding industry. It's centered for creatives that are in, obviously, the wedding world. It is applicable to anybody that has products also that they sell that, if they have a product-based shop, for instance, and maybe you make super cute coffee mugs, like this is going to be helpful for you. So it doesn't mean that you have to be like a wedding industry professional. However, it's kind of where we're going with it today. So yeah, how many people are ready for wedding season? How is it already October? I mean, really though, how is it October? It's a little crazy to me still, even at this point. So, all right, let's dive in. I'm just getting my, there we go. Oh my gosh, I couldn't see a single freaking thing. Okay, perfect. So, how many, if you had to guess, okay, so if you had to take a wild stab, there are, well, according to Wedding Wire and The Knot and all of those places that do all of the fun little, statistics and all of that, there are 10 super popular days that people get engaged. And girl, you just booked 3 for next year. Woo! Congratulations. That's fantastic. There are 10 incredibly popular days. And when do you think those are? Let's throw some out. So people that are watching the live, what are some of the, super popular days that that people get engaged? I will give you a hint. They are between November and February. So throw some dates out if you have any ideas. I am super parched today. Sorry about that. Christmas. Bingo. That is absolutely one of the top 10. Yep. 100%. New Year's Eve. Yep. Love it. Yes. Valentine's Day. Thank you. Love it. Keep going. You're getting them. There are actually a couple of crazy ones too. Hi, Rhea. Well, without going into all of them, kind of starts with Thanksgiving and it goes all the way through President's Day. So random. I still to this day don't know why President's Day is included in those. But hey, I would love to have gotten proposed on Halloween. I love Halloween. But 9 of the 10 most popular days fall between November and February. Okay. So that means 40%. Okay, 40% of couples are getting engaged during this time frame. So from November until the middle of February. So what you want to kind of think about and what you want to start to really, when you're looking at your calendar and you're starting to think of, okay, well, what should I be posting and when? Most couples start their search for their vendors, for their wedding vendors, 7 to 10 months prior to their actual wedding. Okay. So what does that mean? So if people are getting engaged, starting, let's just say in November, all the way up through February, this is when you really want to be amping up your efforts no matter what, because those summer weddings are starting to look for vendors. So maybe they got engaged, a year ago, but they planned to have a June 2019 wedding. They're going to be looking for their wedding vendors as well during this time period. So it doesn't mean that you aren't, still in the running to be getting all these clients, but this is the biggest burst you will see of inquiries and, people reaching out and all of that fun stuff. So, it's really time to amp up your efforts. And what does that mean? Like what should you be focusing on? What do you need to, really start doing to get you noticed? Well, there's a few things. Before I even go into any of those though, one of the biggest things you need to figure out, if you haven't already, is who is your ideal client, okay? So if you truly, in your heart of hearts, just are kind of taking anyone who, books you, or, maybe you aren't so sure what your favorite person to work with looks like, now's the time to really figure that out, because it's almost like, I like to think of this time of year as the wedding industry professionals' new year. It's like the fresh start, right? Like we're coming to a close with the crazy chaos of the wedding season. It's, we're wrapping up the majority of our jam-packed full schedule. But now it's when you are, looking to fill up your calendar for the following season, right? So you really want to make an effort to figure out who your person is. Otherwise, you're going to have another season of just working with anyone and everyone, right? And maybe there were some people that really you would have rather given someone your left foot rather than work with anyone like that again. Think of the qualities that you could not stand in that person. Or on the flip side, think of your favorite client. What made them your favorite client? What was so fantastic about them? All right. So this is not a chat. This is not an episode where I'm going to really go into, how to figure out your ideal client, but it's just something that I want to have you direct your attention towards before you start creating your content and amping up your marketing efforts to get found. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can't start creating content without knowing who you're creating content for, right? It's kind of common sense, and yet it's one of those things that people actually fail to do. They just create, or say whatever they think somebody who's getting engaged will want to hear. Okay, that's fabulous, but take it one step further. Who exactly do you want to be working with? So enough of that though. A few different things that you can be doing, okay, is repurposing content that you have already created. If you created a blog post or, that gets a lot of traffic every single month, or maybe you have actually tracked what some of your best performing posts are on social media, maybe on your Facebook page or on Instagram. Those are ones that you should be recycling no matter what. Okay. So I'm going to make it easy for you guys. You don't have to always be creating something new. Don't reinvent the wheel. So if you, back in June talked about some element of planning or, hiring a photographer or what flowers were in season back then, whatever, reuse it. There's no reason why you can't. Just, switch it up a little bit. But really go through, and that's going to save you a lot of time too, because it's stressful enough trying to think of okay, well, how am I going to get completely booked, right? What am I going to do to book myself? Make the process a little bit easier and reuse some of the stuff you've already created. But a few things that people love. So maybe you're just starting out. Do we have anyone that's watching the live right now that is just, brandy dandy new fresh? Let me know, because I will give you some tips just for you if there are any people watching. But some types of posts and content that work really well in engagement rates and all that stuff that honestly I could care two poops about. But hey Emily, So random. Hi. Some pieces of content that work really well are stories of past clients. And let me tell you why. Okay. So stories of past clients speaks to a lot of different points that people are trying to basically act like a detective and find out about you, whether or not you are even aware of it. Okay. They are trying to figure a few things out about you. Did people have a good experience in working with you? Or are you brand new and you don't have, any kind of testimonials or any kind of experience? They want to know. They want to know what other people's experience has been, in the past with working with you, because they want to make sure they're not a guinea pig. Does this make sense to you guys? Like, leave a heart, leave a like, leave a laughing face, whatever. Like, let me know if this is making sense to you. Because yeah, testimonials are great, guys, but unless you're really strategically like sprinkling them throughout your website, or occasionally putting them in your Instagram story, or those types of things, people probably aren't going to like just click on your testimonial page and look, right? Because here's the thing. You can have a million bad reviews, but if you've got 3 really good ones, which ones do you think you're going to actually showcase and put on your website? The million bad ones? Probably not so much, unless you're feeling very like adventurous. I don't really know. You're not going to do that. So the random like flashes, the random commercials, if you will, are the ones that are really going to like engage them. It's going to bring them in, right? So having not even just necessarily a testimonial, you don't have to totally do like, you don't have to say, oh my God, this person said bleh. You don't have to necessarily do that. Maybe you can go live. Like, there's a thought. You could go live in, on your Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, and talk about your favorite wedding of the season. Or you can talk about your curveball wedding. You can talk about the wild card wedding. And this is one that you're kind of finding the silver lining in. Like, how it was going to end up a complete disaster. Like, the kitchen was about to burn down, the oven wasn't working, I ran out of film for my camera, if you shoot film, so random. The bride lost her bouquet in the river, like all of the random shit. Like, it's just going to end up being a disaster, right? How did you turn it around? How did you fix it? How did it end up? Those are the types of stories people want to hear. They want to know, they want to be able to relate to, okay, there's a good chance my wedding could be a complete shitstorm. How are you going to fix it? I want to know that you're capable of being able to handle anything that's thrown at you, right? Like, is this making sense to you guys? Yes, you can totally put all of those engagements and weddings and all that stuff. I would even go so far, if you have any client that has left you any kind of like video testimonial, or even just a quick like, oh my God, like a text message. Text messages, guys, like taking a screenshot of a text message is going to weigh a lot more than just a straight up testimonial. Why? Because a text message is real, it's raw, it's uncensored, and that's showing that you have this relationship with your client where they can be themselves. They want to see that. Like, they want to see that. Now, am I encouraging you to have be texting with all of your brides and grooms as a vendor? Not necessarily, but we all know that we have those few that we do that with, right? It's okay. We all do. And if you don't, then, you're super professional. Keep on being professional, right? So just kind of showcasing things like that. These are things that I talk to so many clients that are like, are you sure I can post a text message? You got to get there okay, guys. You got to just be like, hey, is it okay? I just want to show people what it's kind of like to work with me. And I guarantee you, unless there's something crazy in that text message, which you should be cropping out anyway, post it, right? They're gonna let you post it. So, that's something to kind of think about. But also, you can be giving and providing valuable information to clients about the hidden tips, the hidden tricks, like what you should be looking for. And I'm not talking about what every single person has on their blog, 5 tips how to find a wedding planner, or, whatever. No, I'm talking more about what is something that hasn't already been done 1,000 times, right? Easier said than done. I know what I'm saying here. But how about this? Look at it this way. One of your brides or one of your grooms, they managed to save, I don't even know, $7,000 by doing this one thing. What did they do? How did they do it? What tool did they use? What website did they use? What app did they use? What different way did they look at it? That guys, that is like the gold nuggets. Like those are the gold nuggets that people want. They want to know the valuable information that normally they would have to pay somebody for. And I'm not saying give away the farm. You got to give them appetizers. Right? Give them a little piece. Like, they need to know that if they were to hire you, you're going to show up and you're going to bring the value, right? They need to know this, and this is how you are going to showcase it without saying, hire me, I promise I'm going to make your day great, right? This is how you do that. What are some other things, what are other valuable pieces of information? If you're a photographer, and photographers watching, feel free to disagree or agree or add to this, what I'm about to say. But making sure that they have things like their wedding invitation the day of the wedding. Most people forget to pack that. Maybe you create like, what to bring for your photographer on your wedding day PDF. Make sure that you have your rings on you and you haven't already given them to the best man. I would love to be able to photograph X, Y, and Z, like anything that has sentimental value, maybe like a handkerchief from a grandma. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are things that when we're caught up in the heat and the busyness of the season, we forget to mention. But those are things that people don't even think about. They don't even think about. And so, another one that I really, when I was actively planning and actively, working with clients and whatever, one piece that I, used to love to encourage them to do would be to pick out a brand new perfume or a brand new cologne, something that they have never used before, something that, they enjoy the smell of, obviously. Why? Because every time they wear that, moving forward, it's going to remind them of their wedding day, and it's going to remind them how special it is. But so many people fail to even bring, like their perfume or cologne or whatever. But it makes for a great photo as well, right? So it's like the psychology of it. That's showing them that you care. So anything that I'm saying to guys, like, feel free to use, feel free to say, feel free to repurpose into a blog post. Feel free to put it into an Instagram story. Just tag me. I want to know if this is helping you guys. So seriously, tag Creative Boss Life. I want to see it. I like it. It makes me so happy when I know that what I'm saying helps. Okay. So Rhea just said, so for you guys who don't know Rhea, she's amazing. She's in Massachusetts. She's a wedding photographer. She just said, I gently remind them and add it into their timeline to have their getting ready room cleared for photos and give them a list of details to have in one place for photos. Perfect. So Rhea, if you already have that in your timeline, copy those list of, details that you already have, and go into Canva, create a quick PDF and, make it pretty, and then post it. Like, post it to your story, post it in your Facebook group, like, or page, like, post it, because then you're going to look like a rock star. And all you had to do, the only ones that know that all you had to do was copy and paste are the ones that are sitting here watching the live, watching the replay, listening to the podcast episode, right? So this is how you reduce, reuse, recycle, right? So there's that. You just want to be providing people. I know this one was like a long-winded point, guys, but the whole premise of it was you just want to be providing content, information, valuable tidbits without an expectation of having anything in return. Knowing that you're just kind of putting good out there, right? You're just kind of doing the good deed. But I promise you, it will start to come back. So another thing that, you can use to post and, when you're thinking like, well, how am I, whatever, really talk about your brand story. Like, people actually care. They do want to know, like, how long you've been doing it, but they tell it in a story form and tell it in a genuine way. What did you do before you were a calligrapher? Maybe it's a side hustle. So what do you do full time? Kind of saying those things, because what it does? It makes you a real person. It makes you a real person. It makes you relatable. It makes you, you're coming from a genuine and honest place. Now, what I want to encourage you to avoid doing, though, is talking all about yourself, right? Yes, you are telling your brand story. Like, what do you believe in? What do you like? What does your ideal couple look like? What do they love to do? What do you love to do for hobbies? Those types of things. However, you always want to be asking yourself, like, always coming back to, how is this going to help them? What is this going to show them? What am I trying to actually explain to them? What you're doing is you're basically painting a picture of who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in and what you're passionate about, but make it relatable. Does this make sense? Like, say, some of my favorite engagement sessions are the ones where we, randomly decide to hike a mountain. Like, that's perfect, because then that's showing them, like, you have ideas, you can be creative, you're not going to just be another freaking park or field or, whatever. Like, you have ideas. Or, my all-time favorite engagement session happened at a hot air balloon festival. Just showcasing that you've done this before. It's not your first rodeo, but you know what I mean? Like, is this making sense, guys? I'm going to pause for a second. Like, I want to make sure that what I'm saying is resonating. Okay. I'm like holding this for, like, I don't know why. This isn't like novel information. This isn't like brand new, oh my God, monumental, but it's super helpful in, those, and having a reminder, really. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to grab some water. Okay. Okay, I'm going to keep going. But I wanted to take a minute, and if anyone has any questions at this point, obviously write them down. If you've been with me before on these things, I always answer them at the end. Okay, so, I've already talked about kind of telling your story in a genuine way, and really showcasing past clients, but doing it in a way that is different from the majority. It's not just another testimonial. I would encourage you to put, a couple testimonials, especially in your Instagram story. Like, if someone has written you something, then that's something that's, super easy to copy paste, put into, your story, and then you have it as a highlight, because what that's doing is it's building credibility for yourself. So there's that. But you're also, the whole point, guys, in really coming up with like a content plan, coming up with a plan for the next few months, is that, this is bringing it back to psychology, but really staying on top of mind with them, okay? Because regardless, they are going to be starting to search for vendors. They are, possibly going to get engaged in a couple of months. And then they're going to remember, oh my God, remember when such and such talked about that time that, she did an elopement at a hot dog eating contest? I honestly don't even know where the hell that came from, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to remember it. They're going to remember those things. So you want to stay on top of mind. And so a lot of my clients will ask me, well, how often do I need to post? I would encourage you to be posting on, Instagram and Facebook primarily, at least 3 times a week. Okay, like at least 3 times a week, but you're repurposing content, guys. So if you aren't familiar on how to kind of repurpose content or batch your content, you can go back through in the video archives if you're in the Facebook group watching this live, or you can go back into iTunes and just search for the oh my gosh, I'm having a total block, batch content. Batch your content in 6 months worth of content in a day. And what's the other one, guys, that was like game changing for so many of you? I'm trying to remember, like the creating a content schedule. It's where I talked about the content planner. Anybody watching the live that remembers it, the name of it, feel free, because guys, this is number 35. We've done 35 of these episodes, 35 of these lives. Like, that's insane to me. Like, that's older than I am. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, so those 2 posts, though, what I'm trying to say, those 2 episodes will really help you in figuring out how to, come up with like a schedule. And you only have to create like, 4 new pieces of content, but you can use it like you play off of each other. So if you post something on Facebook, on day 1 of the month, you can post that same exact post, just switch up the image and post it, day 15 on Instagram, right? It's the same. That's the whole premise of it. Also the media scheduler, tool and whatnot that we have, that was part of it too. I'm trying to remember what the heck that episode was called, but I'll leave links below for you guys. Anyway, I digress. And so one other thing that I really want to drive home for you guys is, don't get so caught up in feeling like you have to always be posting on Instagram, because really, truly, the successful ones on Instagram are the ones who are engaging more than they post. So how do you do that, right? Like, how would you go about doing something like that? Well, you do that by either doing a search for like local venues that you would love to work at or that you do love working at, and commenting on some posts that have been published recently, or finding some hashtags that brides are looking for. They could be looking for like Boston wedding planner, and just commenting on ones that seem appropriate to comment on. But really doing more engaging than posting truly is key on Instagram. So, there's that. So one last piece besides obviously your whole content and marketing strategy, one thing that you should always be focusing on, but especially right now, truly is your SEO. Is how are you going to get found on search? How are you going to be found if someone does a local search for, New Hampshire wedding florist? How are you going to do that? Well, you kind of have to have a schedule to that too. A lot of that comes with blogging. A lot of that comes with renaming your images, but this episode is not, I'm not here to dive into SEO. if SEO is something that it's been on your radar, or it's been something that you've been meaning to really, look into, this is the time, guys, to do it. Like, truly. Because if you start doing it in December, it's too late. You're not going to show up on search results this season, right? You have to build. You have to build into it. So what I would encourage you to do is, either do your own research. There's plenty of free information out there. I have plenty of free documents too on the website. I will also link to those for you guys. But if you are the type of person that just wants it all in your face, then go to creativebosslife.com/courses, and I offer 2 SEO courses. There's let's dip your toes in the water and get your feet wet with SEO course, like for the, beginner. And then there's an entire comprehensive course. So it's something for you to take a look at. But SEO is a big piece of this too. But if you want like immediate results, if you want, if you really want something that is going to be short-lived, a short-term gain, social media is where it's at. If you want something that you can do once and it's going to pay itself off for seasons to come, SEO is where it's at. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to go to some of these questions. All right, but Amy is saying, I don't have much content to repurpose, being newer. Any advice? Okay, so unfortunately, Amy, then you're going to have to kind of start from scratch. You do though, because I know you do have styled shoots. You do have, things that you have done. So you have photos regardless from past styled shoots and whatnot. But now it's going to be a matter of, okay, what are the common concerns or the common questions I hear so many couples talk about? Maybe it's in other Facebook groups. Maybe it's, things that you have heard from friends, whatever it may be. That's going to also help you in coming up with ideas for content. I'm just trying to think. You don't have to always be talking about past clients. You can be talking about past experiences in other workplace situations. Like, talk about one of your favorite, horror stories that turned out to be okay. Something like that. It's speaking to you as a person and your character and your ability to problem solve. So it doesn't matter if it's coming from you just starting, your business. You've been on this earth long enough. Think of other situations in your life too that could, play a role in this. Does that make sense? Just really showcasing, your past clients, if you do have any. That's going to be key as well. So Jamie's saying, does using something like Hootsuite help to plan and or schedule future posts? Is it really a time saver? Hootsuite, I don't have like a whole lot of personal experience, Jamie, with Hootsuite. To be 100% honest with you, I use Trello now. It's taken me a long time to actually like it and, whatever. But the Trello for me, it kind of just outlines it. It outlines, the content, the ideas that I have, and then I'm able to like put it into, Instagram, it's going to go on this day or whatever. But with things like Hootsuite and Buffer and Planoly and Iconosquare and those types of things, planning content like that, I don't want to say Facebook looks down on it. It's not necessarily like what I'm trying to say, but Facebook would much rather have you post it organically. Okay, so natively from Facebook. So if you are trying to plan out content for Facebook, let's say, just go into your Facebook page or whatever, or Facebook group, and schedule it ahead of time. One thing that is, helpful for Instagram for me personally is Iconosquare. And Iconosquare is the only app that is like directly affiliated with Instagram. Like they work together on things versus like Planoly or Later or, you know, things like that. They are super helpful, but like Iconosquare is like Instagram approved. Does that make sense? So for me, it will either post automatically if, you know, I've sized the image correctly. If it's too big, it'll just send you a reminder. But honestly, for me, Jamie, have found that what works best for me is when I just, like plan out my posts. So I will say like post number 1, Facebook, post, number 1, Instagram, and I'll choose a different day, but I know what post 1 and post 2 and post 3 already are. Does that make sense? Again, that batch day content, episode is money. Like, it's gold. So I will definitely put the link to that because it's going to help you absolutely with all of this. Okay, let me see. Does Wix website have good SEO? If you had asked that question, Mia, like 3 years ago, the answer would have absolutely been a resounding no. They do not. Over the years, their SEO has definitely improved. The problem, though, is that with platforms like Wix and even WordPress, people think, WordPress, for example, you can download a plugin, it's called Yoast. And so people think that, you know, they can just plug in like their Google Analytics code and it's automatically connected and it's going to do what it needs to, you know, do. That's not the case. That's not the case at all because you're not connecting it on the back end. So what I would really strongly encourage you is that it's not necessarily so much the platform because you can optimize the crap out of any platform, essentially, really. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of knowing what and how to do it. With Wix, people and WordPress, people feel like if they download a plugin or if they just do what the website's telling it to do, that they're doing exactly what they need, and then they're set for SEO. And that's not the case. So you have to connect certain things on the back end aside from your website altogether. Meaning you have to have Google Analytics talking to Search Console, Webmaster Tools, and it also needs to be talking to Google My Business. You cannot do that through Wix or WordPress or Squarespace or Showit or any of them. It cannot be formed, that connection, that do you see what I'm saying? It cannot happen there. The initial foundation happens outside of your website entirely, and then you connect it to your website. Does that make sense? Because then the foundation is talking to your website. But if you just set up the website elements and haven't done the foundation, it's going nowhere. Ooh, I'm hitting my microphone. Sorry. Does that make sense? Like, does that make sense? I know that didn't really answer your question directly, but that's the problem I see. That's the more underlying root of the problem I see when people ask me, like, does Wix have good SEO? Does WordPress have, you know, which platform has better SEO? And really, it's not necessarily a matter of the platform so much as it is the actual setting up. And people don't know how to do that. And that's the problem. Okay. I think I answered it. Courtney, you could use stock photos and do tips and ideas. Yes, exactly, Courtney. Iconosquare. Yes, Mia, that is the right spelling. It's just one word, though. So it's Icono square, one word. Let me see. Awesome. Yay, Jamie. I don't know what I said, babe, but I'm happy it helped. Perfect. Okay. So are there any other questions? Are there any, is there anything else that I can help with? Oh, I just found it, guys. Okay, so you know how I've like been trying to figure out what that other episode was. I will post the link. So it is a blog post. If you do a search on the Creative Boss website, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a search bar. Handy little tip and trick for you. You can search for any set of terms, keywords, whatever. Like if you can't remember where I said something or where you found something or whatever, just search for it down there. So what I just did is I just literally typed in content planner because I knew that I had talked about it during an episode. So I talked about batch days as a blog post, but it was also a podcast episode, and they are very different. Yes, there's a lot of the same information, but I go into a lot of detail on how to actually schedule out and plan your content in the blog post, but then I'm showing you how to batch on the episode. Does that make sense? I'm posting them both in this live so that you guys can have some easy reading later, but then I'll also be putting them in the show notes. So my suggestion, if you guys are ever, if you remember me talking about something, I wouldn't necessarily search for it here in the Facebook group. If you're watching this live, I wouldn't necessarily search for it here. I would truly go to the website and I would search for it there, because then you not only can you watch the video, but you can listen to the audio if you're editing or culling or working, or whatever, or you can just read the show notes. That's personally my favorite. I'm like the 1%, that actually would rather read something than listen to it or watch it. I'm weird. I know. Let me just see something. Brittany, I never really realized how much amazing information you have available in the resources area of your site. So good. Thank you, Brittany. That makes me so happy to hear. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. That really makes me so happy and grateful that you find it helpful. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, as always, I'm here for you. Post them in the Facebook group. That's what this group is for, guys. There are so many brilliant people that are part of this Facebook group, but you guys don't know each other. Use each other, guys, because I'm telling you, we have award-winning people all across the country. We have newbies all across the country, but they were at the top of their game and are now transitioning into something else. Use them. Utilize the resources you guys have. So yeah, the next live that we're going to be having is, when is it? On October 16th. And then we will have one more in October for October 30th. It's going to be, this month, October, is centered all around engagement season, holiday season, and that type of thing. So if there's something that, is really at the top of your mind, maybe you're trying to figure out what do I do, to attract more holiday customers, maybe you're a product-based shop, let me know that.